Well, in honor of Billy Jaffe being here, we decided we're going to take a look at the Atlantic Division, do a deeper dive here. So taking a look at how things played out a year ago in the Atlantic, the Maple Leafs clinching the division, Lightning and Panthers finishing 2-3, the Sens and Habs also making the playoffs. So the Atlantic getting 5 teams last year of the 8 in the playoffs. Red Wings, Sabres, Bruins missing out on the postseason. The Bruins finishing dead last in that division for the first time in quite some time, 76 points with just 33 wins. When you take a look at this, Rumper, how do you see the Atlantic shaking out again this year? More of the same, or some maybe change when it comes to the guys at the top and the bottom?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's. I think there's certain teams that we pretty much anticipate being at the top in whatever order it is. And what I mean by that is the 2 Florida teams and the Panthers and the Lightning. It almost doesn't feel like it matters where they finish in a lot of regards. I don't think they care. They just want to be healthy at the right time of year, playing the right brand of hockey. So I would expect them to both be in the top 3 in that division. It's probably the Leafs as well. And it makes it interesting. What are we going to see from Ottawa Senators? Like there's teams on the up, and there's teams that have to be on the up, Billy, because we've been talking about them having to be on the up for a few years. And if they're not, I think there's got to be some big-time changes. So I'm very interested in this Atlantic Division this year because I think that there's a lot of teams that should be taking steps forward.
I could see 5 teams making the playoffs again out of the Atlantic. Yeah. With that said, we saw a lot of good jump from Ottawa and from Montreal. They got to do it again. Yeah. It's not just a little tiny. It's not. You don't need 20 more points, but it can't be the same. It's got to be a little bit better. It has to be. And the pressure is on both of them to repeat what they did last year. Ottawa started to play a more responsible, 200-foot recognizable type style of hockey the second half of the year. They obviously got good goaltending from Linus Ullmark. I think that helped stabilize them. Montreal Canadiens, I know they are kind of, at least right now, Rupper, it feels like one of a lot of people's it team, so to speak. I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying they got still a lot of young pieces there. Now that
do it again
in that market, et cetera. And I think they can. They're fun. They're fast. But this is a big year for them.
I always, you named a couple teams there, and I always go back to this. Jameson, you probably heard me say this 100 times. You haven't won anything yet. And I think that's so important when you go into a summer. If you're the Ottawa Senators making the playoffs or the Montreal Canadiens making the playoffs, where's the mindset? Like, is it, you can't just say, well, we made the playoffs, we're automatically going to take the next step. A lot goes into it. There's a pretty magical run that Montreal had to get on. Yeah. And they got going. Nick Suzuki was incredible leading the way. Yep. It's not just going to happen again for Ottawa either. So I think what you saw in Ottawa in that first round against Toronto Maple Leafs, there's still some things that they've got to learn, and that's all part of this process. So, yeah, I think there's some promise there, but there's also some other hungry teams. I think it could be 5 in the Atlantic as well.
What about Buffalo and Boston there at the bottom of the Atlantic last year? How do you see those 2 teams? I know Buffalo is one of those teams that you probably – that was the team,
yeah. I was talking about Buffalo and Detroit.
Needing to take that next step. Is this your year for Buffalo? Or we say it every year?
We say it every year. I mean, I don't know. You have to start seeing some true results. Yep. And I don't want to see it, and I'm tired of seeing it in March. Let's see it in November. No. You know what I mean? Let's see it
let's see it October through February.
Yes, let's see it. Let's see it go, but also to start seeing these teams growing up in some of their decision-making on the ice, like defending leads, defending it all in some situations.
Right?
I think that's something that's been lacking for a couple of these teams, and it doesn't just happen. You gotta learn how to do it.
No, Buffalo is in this very dark place in the sense of if they have a little bit of a bad stretch, people are gonna be like, "Here you go again." Yep. And if they start winning early on the season, well, here we go again. We've seen this before. Right. Yeah. They've just got to be, I think, real tight this year. They've got to be disciplined. They've got to be structured. They've got to, you know what, have the us against the world mentality. But that takes a lot of energy, and we're going to show you every night. They can't take nights off. And, we always talk about long 82-game season. Rupert said Tampa, Florida, they probably don't care where they finish as long as they're in the top 3. 4 for sure, but for sure top 3. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care. They know they're going to get it, et cetera. Buffalo can't be like that, obviously. Buffalo needs to get better. With regard to the Boston Bruins, this is their retool year. What does it mean? I mean, we saw a lot of depth players brought in the offseason, a ton of depth players. Still some big question there, fellas. Who's going to score besides Pasternak and hopefully Geekie? Can you see guys like a Pavel Zacha jump back up to a career-type year, 50, 60-plus points, that type of year? Also, yes, they get healthy on the back end with their two big horses in McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm. But after that, they still have some question marks back there, too. Swayman gets better. In theory, he should be better than he was last year. If he does, the team should be a little bit better. But how good when it's all said and done? You looked at those other 5 teams that made the playoffs. All 5 of those teams are expecting to be back there again. So Boston's going to have a lot of work this year to be challenging for a playoff spot. They've got to, again, stay healthy. Maybe make still 1 or 2 more adds. They got the cap space. They got room to do it. But there's other teams that are looking to make adds, too.